All right, good afternoon or evening, depending on where you're joining from, and thank you for tuning in. We hope everyone had a nice Thanksgiving. And while we don't have leftover turkey and casserole for you tonight, we do have what we hope will be an informative and helpful webinar. I'm Elizabeth DePompe with the DAV Communications team at National Headquarters in Earliger, Kentucky, and I'll be moderating. In just a few moments, National Membership Director Doug Wells will give a presentation covering the basics of membership benefits and recruiting. If you have questions, please type them in the chat as we go, and we'll answer as many as we can during the Q&A portion at the end. Doug and his team are always available, but we encourage everyone here to take advantage of this opportunity to ask questions. After today, you'll be able to review a recording of this presentation at dav.org under Member Resources and on DAV's YouTube page. If you missed the last webinar covering mydav.org earlier this month, you can find that recording on either of those pages as well. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to Doug.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Elizabeth, for that kind introduction. As Elizabeth mentioned, we're happy to share this webinar with everyone on both the DAV.org homepage under Member Resources, as well as on DAV's YouTube page. Also, don't waste any time taking pictures of the slides here. Just shoot me an email at dwells@dav.org, and I'll be happy to send you the slide deck, sans the videos, of course, because they're too large to email. But happy to share the slide deck with you if you want to take it and share it at some chapter or department event. I'd love for you to do that. This is my direct information here on the current slide. Feel free to reach out to me either by phone or email. Anytime. I'm happy to help you out in any way I can. Also, my team stands ready to get you whatever you need to be successful in your membership related and recruiting endeavors. I really appreciate all the work that all of you put in out in the field every single day. I just wanted to briefly hit on a few things that if you've been to my presentations before or webinars, we talk quite a bit about, but it's just around the corner here, and I'm hoping that folks at the chapter level and department level will get prepared for March Membership Madness again. The whole idea behind this is to kind of get folks through the holidays and maybe let their pocketbooks recover from that holiday spending, and be ready to put money towards membership again. So we wanted to kind of pick an event that could provide a psychological key. Oh, it's time to start recruiting now. So we make our membership year goals. Remember, the membership year for DAV runs from July 1st through June 30 of the next calendar year. So we have to have all of our goals met and all our I's dotted and T's crossed in anticipation of awards and reports at DAV's national convention. So we wanted something that would help people be reminded to, ensure that their goals were being met, well before the end of the membership year. One of the things I noticed after taking the reins a number of years ago here at National Headquarters Membership Department was that folks would quite often wait until the very end of the membership year to, start thinking about goal, and that, puts all sorts of pressure on us in many different ways. So it's better to knock this out as early as possible, of course. But we do see still a bit of an uptick in recruiting towards the end of the membership year. So this is really just that reminder. But it's also a way to have a little bit of friendly competition between the departments and create some additional camaraderie. So just doing something fun as we go about the work of the organization. There's two different ways to win March Madness. You have your department champion, which is presented with the cup you see there on your screen. That's the department that moves from bracket to bracket without being eliminated in the tournament. And then you also have your department MVP, which recruits, percentile wise, the largest number of new members versus their goals. So a couple of different ways to win there is the department. These awards are presented during our commanders and adjutants meeting every year. So again, it's a nice way to build that camaraderie. We also recognize the two top individual recruiters with personally engraved iPads. The only catch is you got to have a minimum of 25 new members recruited during the March Membership Madness tournament. We do recognize, again, the top individual recruiter and the runner-up, but to be eligible, you have to recruit at least 25 new members. Keep an eye out. We should be sending out notices here in the very near future as to when 2023's March Membership Madness tournament will be going on for. So the winning departments also get a couple of $250 gift cards from Office Depot to help offset some of the administrative costs here. But the real big reason that this is all important and why we have this focus on online recruiting is a couple of things happen. One, it gives us a way to maintain our organic recruiting, right? As a 19-year national service officer, something that was always pounded into me by leadership was always have a membership application on you. With all these electronic resources that we now have at our disposal, we've got this covered. So you should never be without a membership application as long as you have your mobile device with you. But also when we recruit folks online with the credit card, one of two things happen. One, they either just pay outright for the membership to become a full life member out of the gate, or two, there's a much higher conversion rate because now we've got the credit card on file and we just charge their installment payments with whatever amount they want us to charge monthly, and it's fire and forget. We don't have to worry about them responding to a monthly quarterly statement, and respond with that check or money order for their membership installment payment. So again, any online recruiting platform can be used. If you're not comfortable using a phone or pad, you can certainly do this at your desktop. But we just want to encourage as much membership to be recruited online as we possibly can. Just all sorts of good things happen, and it's a win-win all the way around. So this is what last year's March Membership Madness tournament looked like. It ran from March 10th to March 30th. And as you can see, Virginia was the ultimate, ultimately prevailed there, but Wyoming was the runner-up in the tournament. And in fact, they were the membership MVP. These awards do quite often, can quite often be split. Sometimes the same department wins both, but certainly there's opportunity to split those awards, and we love it when that happens. We can spread the wealth, and Wyoming just demonstrates that you don't have to be a big juggernaut of a department to be successful in the March Membership Madness tournament because it's percentile based. So I encourage everybody to get involved that possibly can. So I want to talk just a little bit about eligibility. Our communications team did a great job of putting together the value of DEV membership video, which I'm going to share here momentarily. But this does a couple of things for you. It really kind of breaks down, who's eligible for membership in DEV, and it also talks about the benefits of being a member, what we call our member advantages. So it's a great tool to have in your recruiting quiver. You can find this easily on our YouTube page. Please copy the link and store it in your notes somewhere on your phone or pad so that when you're out recruiting for the organization, you can just share this quick video, and it goes a long way towards helping explain who's eligible for membership, as well as what the benefits of being a member are, at least some of them. And, this also helps answer some of those eligibility questions. Again, shortly after I took the reins of membership, as I was traveling around the country, I realized that there was a lot of folks out there that had a great misunderstanding about, who was in fact eligible to be a member of DAV. And this video does a great job of just kind of clarifying a lot of those questions and answers.
As one of the nation's leading veteran service organizations, DAV's successes on behalf of veterans rely solely on the strength and engagement of its members, which help ensure veterans' issues are properly addressed in your local community and in Washington. But who are DAV members, and how can you become one? Well, first, any service member who is not dishonorably discharged and sustained an injury or illness during their time in the military, whether service connected by the VA or not, or anyone who aggravated a previous injury during his or her time in service, is eligible for DAV membership so long as they served during a period of armed conflict. And no, it doesn't have to be direct combat. So, what does DAV membership include? It's well known that DAV's services, including professional help with VA claims and the transition and employment assistance DAV provides all veterans at no cost, do not require membership in DAV. However, DAV members do receive savings on Ford vehicles and thousands of other advantages through DAV's My Deals app. You also get a free subscription to DAV magazine. But most importantly, especially if you were helped by DAV, becoming a member gives you the opportunity to pay it forward and add your voice to help your fellow veterans. And how do you become a DAV member? Just log on to dav.org/membership and fill out an application. You can submit it online or send it in the mail. Either way, joining DAV's ranks brings individual perks and strengthens the voices of our nation's veterans in your local community and in Washington. Learn more about becoming a DAV member by visiting dav.org/membership and help fulfill the promises to the men and women who served.
So yeah, this does a great job of just giving you a real compact way to share this information with folks. We're trying to give our recruiters as many tools as possible, and there's a lot of great stuff like this on DAV's YouTube page. The stuff that we're designing in membership really is designed for either social media, sharing on your Facebook or Instagram accounts, that sort of stuff. I would love it if you did that. But also, again, when you get questions or want to introduce DAV to folks, to creating those 45-second, a minute and a half or so videos that, really help you do that and not leave you out there, trying to figure out, what the message should be. So you can just share this stuff and then obviously enhance it with your own experiences with the organization, that sort of thing. So I don't want you to be out here on an island when you're recruiting. If you are one of our heavy recruiters, I'd certainly love your feedback. If you feel like there's a tool like this that you could use out there, shoot me an email and let me know what you think. We could talk about it on the phone, and if there's something that's viable, we'll definitely try to get that produced. But again, all the things that you're going to see coming out of membership are designed in that vein. So let me know what y'all think about this stuff. So I did talk about this in our last webinar a little bit. Just a quick reminder that the Recruiter Warrior tool is now back up and running. We had a little bit of a hiatus there because of the relaunch of our new system that we had to put in place that replaced not only the membership system but a number of other systems for DAV. But it's totally easy to use. Just go to dav.org/warrior. You just enter your membership number there in the block that you see toward the bottom. Hit return. That verified membership number bar will highlight. You click on it, and it'll either generate your link or to let you know that the membership number is invalid. So, you just have to make sure you're, first of all, typing in the correct membership number. But also, if you don't, if you think there's an issue there, just reach out to us and we'll verify the membership number for you as well. In addition to generating a unique link for yourself that you can use to recruit, it'll also generate a QR code for you. So either folks scanning the QR code with their phone or clicking on that link will allow you to just share, again, the membership application that you should have with you, 24/7. So when you happen to run into somebody, that's eligible for membership, you can have that conversation and close the deal right there. So the great thing about the Recruiter Warrior link, for those that aren't familiar with it, is, again, it's a personalized recruitment link. So when somebody clicks on it, they're presented with a DAV membership application, but your information, your sponsor information, is already in the form. So you don't have to worry about them or you filling that out. You automatically receive attribution for the new member. So in addition to you receiving, your standard DAV points, certainly you'd be eligible for any type of, special events that we were doing. Like we had the Recruiter Warrior Challenge here recently. We'll probably have something in the spring or summer as well with Recruiter Warrior. So if we're doing something extra special, you'll get that in addition to your DAV points that you typically receive. So, give me just a second here, folks. I received some information that we may have an issue with the sound. It looks like I'm good on my end, but I'm just going to stop my share here real quick. And then reshare my screen. Back to my apologies. Just Elizabeth, for your edification, my check mark is there. Hopefully that sound issue is fixed here. If you don't have a personalized Recruiter Warrior link, please make sure you do. And before I forget, another great thing with the QR code that's generated, now we have a way for you to add that to your DAV business cards. So as you're handing out business cards, it can have your Recruiter Warrior link via the QR code that people can scan and be directed right to your personalized membership application. So, please, again, take advantage of that. We're just, trying to create these tools to make recruiting as easy as possible. And, in the age of pandemics here, certainly, we need to have safe ways for folks to recruit if something, unfortunately does happen again in the future. So we just want to be prepared for all contingencies. And what easier way to recruit than, from the recliner in the family room or any other place that you're comfortable doing so. So please get your Recruiter Warrior links going and share that stuff via your social media. That reminds me, if you do see someone's Recruiter Warrior link out there and that they've shared via their social media, make sure you get your own link. If you share theirs, they'll get credit if somebody signs up because it's their personalized link. So you always have to have your own link with Recruiter Warrior. So let's talk about goals. Something I've kind of been a theme this year is, the old Japanese proverb, the nail that sticks out gets hammered, right? So I wanted us to kind of get back to the basics here and remind folks of some stuff. So with respect to goals, a few years ago, we changed the goal dynamic. It used to be that if you recruited a brand new full life member or a converted a part life member to a full life member, those are the things that counted toward goals. So really, folks were penalized for recruiting part life members because that really kind of factored into how large or small a chapter's goal was. And that's not everybody can afford a full life membership out of the gate. So we didn't want people to be discouraged from bringing people into our ranks only because they couldn't afford a full life membership. So we really changed the goal, and now the goals are based on what we call our prospect hot list. So what the hot list is, or it's a list that you can get from us here at headquarters that gives you usually only the names and addresses of the folks who we know with a high degree of assurity are eligible for membership in DAV. Sometimes it could include their phone numbers and email addresses but usually it's their names and addresses. So there's lots of resources out there where you can figure out how to get a hold of these people in other ways. But I just wanted to have everybody be clear about what they're getting. But the point here is that, again, I don't want you out on an island or just kind of bouncing around in the ether, hoping to bump into somebody that's eligible and, having these goals that you have to attain. I want to tell you, where folks are. And we've had some chapters around the country that have had a lot of success taking that Rona file and actually going to folks' homes and, kind of knocking on the doors and saying, hey, we're from DAV. We'd like to invite you to this activity. How's your claim? Are you getting to and from your medical appointments okay? There's a reason the security system salesperson or the pool salesman, come around, the neighborhoods. They may get 10 doors slammed in their face, but one person may say, hey, yeah, I'd love to. Thanks for stopping by. It's also a great opportunity to look for volunteer opportunities in the community. And, DAV has always been a service-first organization. And it's my strong belief that when we demonstrate the value of membership in DAV, folks are much more amenable to cutting us that check or giving us the credit card for a full life payment. So by all means, take advantage of the hot lists. That's what we base the goals on now. The thing to remember about the hot lists is that not all hot lists are created equal. So the hot list for the chapter out of Killeen, Texas is going to be, much bigger than a hot list for a chapter in Eastern Rhode Island, let's say, where there's a lot less, prospects in the area. So we do have, when we establish the goals, chapters have a minimum goal of 10 new members a year. But certainly, again, some chapters hot lists are going to be, more voluminous than other chapters. Unfortunately, right now, I don't have a way to automatically disperse the hot lists. So if you're looking for one, just, use a membership list request form or give us a call or email us there at the information you see. The only thing we're going to need from you is the zip codes that lie within your jurisdiction. And my staff will get that produced and shot out to you ASAP. So it's a great tool to have. Again, I don't want you just, on your own looking for folks that are eligible. I want to tell you exactly where they are. Whether you do a postcard mailing to them or, utilize one of these resources out there where you can look up phone numbers, that sort of thing. There's all sorts of ways that you can get creative in reaching out to these folks. And it's been my experience that a great many of them are very appreciative when we do reach out to them as the official voice of disabled veterans and their families in this country. Also, just want to remind you, I talked earlier about the recruitment points that you get, and this is kind of a common theme, that you'll see with respect to, recruitment. I want to incentivize as much as possible to get folks to sign people up online. So when you sign someone up for a new membership, if you sign them up with a paper application, you get 1 point on the front end, and then when they convert to a full life membership, you get another point on the back end for a total of 2. Of course, if you sign them up as a full life member from the beginning, you get 2 points out of the gate. However, if you sign them up online with a recurring credit card payment, you get 2 points up front and then an additional point on the back end when they convert, for a total of 3 points. So again, the more you can do to sign folks up online, the more points you're going to accrue for that recruitment. So please do everything you can to get them signed up online. Again, just nothing but good things happen when we do it that way. Again, just a reminder that older points are now expiring. We've talked about this quite a bit, and there's still recruiters out there, sometimes prolific recruiters, that are surprised by this information. So please share it as much as you possibly can. I talk about this every year at Midwinter and National Convention. We've put it in the magazine and newsletters a couple of different times. So please share this information. Just like any other rewards program, you've got to expire the points, or it just ends up being, too much red in the ledger there, and that's not what we want to do with our resources. We still have to be accountable for these, because essentially a point is a buck. So we do expire the older points first, and they expire on an annual 3-year rolling basis. So after points have been on the system for more than 3 years, that next year-end process that we go through on June 30, July 1, that's when those points would expire. You don't have to wait for a national convention or come into headquarters to expire or to utilize these points. Of course, you can go to dav.trophyawards.com and cash them in there, or just give the DAV store here a call, and our team will stand ready to get your points spent here over the phone. So there's lots of different ways to cash them in. Certainly don't hesitate to utilize those points, because you definitely earned them. We really appreciate it. So again, how to use your hot list. What are the best ways to do this? So I kind of talked about this a little bit. The hot list reflects the most viable member prospects in your jurisdiction. So these are not people that that I have solicited here from national headquarters over and over again, and for whatever reason, after 15 years of being invited to join the organization, they've just never pulled the trigger, right? These are very new prospects. Either they've never been talked to, or maybe they were included on our annual solicitation mailing one time. But these are very, very fresh prospects. I want to give you all the first shot at them. The best leaders in DAV always come from amongst the prospect ranks that are recruited by and mentored into the organization, are great members. I don't know that we've ever had a national leader come from, being someone that has signed up because they want to support the mission and support our team on Capitol Hill, that sort of thing, but have never gone to a chapter meeting, right? They're always the people that are involved in the organization and truly have service in their heart. So this personal recruiting and mentoring is so very important. So I want to give you all the cream of the crop here and give you a first shot at them for sure. Some people just need to be talked to multiple times. That's true in any kind of sales operation, and really at its heart, that's what we're talking about, really. But certainly, I want to make sure you all have viable prospects and aren't wasting your time on folks that have already made it clear they don't want to join. So you get these names and addresses of these folks. Mail, send that postcard out to them, call them, invite them to your meetings and functions. Again, it seems maybe a little counterintuitive, but visit these prospects at their homes, right? You might get a door slammed in your face. That I wouldn't be surprised, but again, some chapters have had a great success. Once a quarter, have a truncated meeting, knock out the regular business, and share a meal or something, and then pair off and go visit 2 or 3 people on the hot list, and just talk to them about if they've got needs or opportunities for volunteerism, that sort of thing. And it really, really goes a long way when we demonstrate we're a service first organization. So yeah, there's all sorts of different ways to use the hot list there. Another tool that we put together, is in relation to um, the question of why does DAV charge for a membership? There are some veterans organizations out there that don't charge, and they have different models. But to answer that question, so folks aren't struggling for an answer, we created this 45-second or so video, and I'll share it with you now.
Military service ingrains in all of us that we're stronger together, and membership in DAV builds upon that precept by leveraging our strength in numbers to empower us through camaraderie and legislative action. But did you know that you're also helping fellow veterans with your DAV membership dues? While part of your dues helps produce DAV Magazine, which keeps you informed about topics important to you and your family, a portion of these funds are also redistributed to your departments and chapters to directly support DAV programs and services offered in your community. Membership dues can help purchase vehicles that transport veterans to and from VA medical appointments. They can provide supplies for service officers and support initiatives to assist homeless veterans. And they can be used to support our incredible network of volunteers as they help take care of those who served our nation. But most importantly, your local DAV leaders help decide how these funds are used as they identify the greatest needs of the veterans in your area. DAV's programs and services are free to those who use them, and membership dues are one way we all help ensure DAV continues to be there in your community, fulfilling our promises to the men and women who served. Thanks for making a direct impact in the lives of fellow veterans. For more information, check out our annual report here.
So again, please don't hesitate to check out all of these videos on the YouTube page. Again, there was a report earlier that somebody couldn't hear the sound, but those are readily available on DAV's YouTube page if you were one that was having trouble with with hearing these videos. We'll take a look at that to make sure there was no problem on our end. So I did do a presentation about mydav.org here a few weeks ago. Please, as Elizabeth mentioned, please check it out if you missed it, but I just wanted to touch on it real quick. And I'm just really going to fly through these slides, but go to mydav.org/member registration, and you can complete this registration form. So you would click on the new user registration link there toward the bottom left. There's a two-part registration process here. So when you first register, you're going to get an acknowledgement email that looks something like this. You're not ready to get into the system yet. My team has to validate you based on your roles within the organization into the system. Once that happens, you'll get this second email that you're ready to rock and roll in mydav.org. So I just wanted to quickly touch on that. Again, there's a more in-depth presentation out there available in member resources at dav.org that I'd love for you to take a look at. And again, both these webinars, whether it's this one or the one that I did last week, feel free to share those during meetings, events, or just share that they're out there. The more eyeballs that we can get on this stuff, the better. So when you get into mydav.org, this is how it looks. Once you're registered and validated in the system, everything's self-service. You really don't need to reach out to us for anything other than if you have a question about your access. Just ensure that you're using the membership number, through which you're trying to operate. Some of our folks have more than one membership in the organization, maybe in different states, that sort of thing. Just make sure you're using the one if you're elected to or appointed to office, you're using that appropriate membership number so that the correct data flows from the system for you. But yeah, this is where you would get access to all of this stuff, including reports, from the reports repository if you're an officer. So I just wanted to take a brief moment to mention that. Also wanted to remind everybody that the My Deals app is up and running. We just did a podcast on this. Keep an eye out for it. It's a great way to find deals, especially as we're, moving towards the holidays here. Not only are there great discounts on your favorite eateries, that sort of thing, but also travel. If you're looking for retail discount opportunities, all that stuff is here. So please, if you haven't, downloaded the My Deals app, just go to dav.enjoymydeals.com. You only need a few pieces of information. It'll prompt you to input your membership number, create a username and password. Once it validates you into the system, it's all automatic. You just go out to the Apple or Droid stores, download the My Deals app there, and use the username and password that you created online to log in, and you're ready to rock and roll. You've got literally thousands of discounts at your fingertip. And I think the coolest aspect of My Deals is that it uses geolocation. So even if you go on vacation, you're looking for someplace good to eat, you can pull out the My Deals app and it'll let you know what's near you with a discount. So you can find great deals wherever you're at. So, and again, some of these retailers offer some remuneration to DAV. So when you use their product, they'll donate money to DAV for our programs and services to be strengthened. So it's a win-win all the way around. So wanted to share one last thing here with you. Going back to the whole conversation of recruiting, we don't do this in a bubble, right? We want to share as much information as we can with each other. I learn something new every day from folks out in the field. I'm always trying to communicate with you all, and the folks that are in the trenches doing it every day. I want to hear from you. Certainly, I hope that you're networking within the department, or as you're traveling within your districts to other department conventions, that sort of thing. Share best practices, share your experiences. Give me that feedback. You're all already the best there is in the game. I don't feel like you all have to prove anything, but I do want you all to improve every single day. So I want us as individual recruiters to try to be better than we were yesterday. And I came across DeWitt Jones here, who I'm going to share this video from in a moment. If you've picked up a National Geographic anytime in the last 30, 40 years, you've seen his work. And he just does a great way of articulating this message about sharing what we've learned for the betterment of us all. So I'll go ahead and share this right now.
My very first published photographs were on the pages of the National Geographic. I still find that hard to believe. I mean, it was crazy, but that's what happened. I was 26 years old, and Bob Gilka, the head of photography at the Geographic, called me back to their headquarters in Washington, D.C. to give me my marching orders. And I remember standing in the lobby of what they call Explorers Hall, and I was looking at giant globes and dog sleds and submersibles and flags planted on Everest, and surrounded by the most beautiful photographs I'd ever seen in my life. How was I going to prove that I was worthy of working here? And then I was taken upstairs and into Bob's office. Bob was a blunt man, just straight and to the point, and honestly a little scary. Well, that morning, I was completely unprepared for what he said to me. He stopped me cold. He changed the way I did everything from that day forward. He looked at me from over his desk and he said, DeWitt, the people who photograph for this magazine are the best in the world. You don't have to prove yourself. I don't have to prove myself. I mean, honestly, that's all I've been thinking about since I got the assignment. You don't have to prove yourself, he continued. But by God, every day you had better improve yourself. The words went in. Don't prove yourself. Improve yourself. Bob was still talking. He said, I want you to spend your time every day trying to be better than you were yesterday. If you learn something that'll help the others, well, then share it. That way we'll all get better faster. Don't prove yourself. Improve yourself. Otherwise, you're fired. Big first lesson. Right out of the blocks. I don't know how many times I've thought about it, how many times I've acted on it since that day in Bob's office. Don't prove yourself, improve yourself. And living that lesson, I've come to see that life really is a lot more about cooperation than it is about competition. It wasn't proving myself or taking others down that allowed me to succeed. It was simply consciously, continuously improving myself. Refining my skills, honing my wisdom, focusing my vision. Ultimately, the only person I was trying to surpass was me. Don't prove. Improve.
So I just think that's such a great message. Happy I'm able to share it with you. We want to make sure that the rising tide lifts all boats here. So share what you know, not only with your comrades out there, but also with me, and now help try to amplify those great lessons learned. Wanted to save as much time as possible here for Q&A. So I will turn it back over to Elizabeth so she can help me out with that.
Great, thank you, Doug. Lots of great information. We have a couple of questions, but before I get to those, I just wanted to note, you mentioned and played two different videos that I think are great tools for recruiting. One was about eligibility and advantages. Again, if you go to the DAV YouTube page, if you search for the value of DAV membership, that's the title of that video, the value of DAV membership. And then the second one about membership dues, that's titled, How Are DAV Membership Dues Used? So again, you can put that in the search bar on the DAV YouTube page to find those easily. And as Doug said, it's a good idea to go ahead and bookmark those so you have quick, easy access to those. All right. Okay, so first question, someone asked, how do we get a DAV business card?
So great question. I'm actually, well, there's a couple of things going on right now. So we're on the verge of a website refresh here at National Headquarters. I'm hoping to get it on our current website as soon as possible. But if not, it'll definitely be available with the refresh. But we're going to have complete instructions on how you go about not only ordering business cards, but how you go about generating your Recruiter Warrior QR code and putting it on the business card if you'd like to do so, which I, again, would highly recommend. It doesn't change the cost of the business card. So I'll be rolling out those instructions ASAP, just waiting for final approval, and we'll be ready to rock. But it's imminent. Look forward very soon.
Okay, great. Thank you. Again, if you have any questions, please enter them in the Q&A. We covered March Membership Madness, Hot List, Recruiter Warrior. We touched on myDAV.org, DAV member advantages. So covered a lot. If you have any questions about those things or otherwise, please go ahead and submit those questions now. Okay, we have one other question. How or where can you find out how many DAV points you have earned and their expiration date?
Yeah, so right now, just go ahead and email or call the membership department, and my team can look that up for you ASAP and let you know how many points you've got, and if you've got any on the verge of expiring here during the next year-end cycle. So definitely give us a call. We can get you that information ASAP.
And do points?
Also, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
I was going to ask if points expire every year, or how does that work?
So to clarify, it is a little confusing, I understand, but we expire them on a 3-year rolling basis. So if you recruit somebody in 2020, those points will stay on the system through 2023, but that next year-end process at the end of June of 2024, they would expire if you didn't spend any points from that point.
Okay, great.
And, to Elizabeth's earlier point, if you can't think of a question right now, or you have something later, just go ahead and shoot me an email and I'm happy to answer that.
And don't worry, I of course have a couple of questions. I wanted to ask about hot lists. Do you have any advice on how folks can track who has already been approached?
So, that's a great question. Unfortunately, we don't have a system that will allow us to remove people from the hot list that have already been generated. If somebody wants to get a new hot list every few months, I'm happy to do that for them. And there are some instances around the country where we have zip codes that encompass more than one chapter. Some of the larger metropolitan areas that have more than one chapter, within a stone's throw of one another, that sort of thing, they will have the same member or the same prospects on their hot list from time to time. And that's okay. Whoever gets to that person first wins, right? With respect to their recruitment goals. So, but unfortunately, we don't have a mechanism other than generating a new hot list to show who's still out there as a viable candidate.
Okay. And is there any best practice in terms of if a prospect says, no, thank you, is it okay to follow up in 3 months or 6 months? Do you have any advice as far as that goes?
Yeah, and for the most part, with very few exceptions, you're going to have an awful lot of folks on the hot list. I don't know that, in-person recruiting, cold calling multiple times to the same individual is probably the best idea. If somebody isn't a fan of the personal approach, that's okay. Maybe they'll, respond to the solicitation mailing they get from headquarters or one of our digital campaigns, that sort of thing. Also, a person's circumstances might change. We might catch them at a time when, they don't have even $10 a month to sign up, and that's okay. I would just, as a recruiter, again, we're a service first organization. I would just remind folks they don't need to be a member to take advantage of our programs and services, right? So just whether it's them needing help with claims assistance or getting to and from their medical appointments or helping them out in a volunteer capacity, whatever it might be, they don't need to be a member to make that happen. It's just typically when we demonstrate that we're a service first organization, people really appreciate that approach and are much more likely to become a member when we do that. But I would still just remind folks, hey, none of our programs and services, cost anything. Here's our card. If you need anything, let us know, and leave it at that. And then perhaps their circumstances will change and they'll be able to join after the fact. But, it's hard to identify from time to time why somebody's reluctant to join the organization.
All right, we have a couple of more questions that came in. Someone says they received a hot list and mailed them out, received a number of them back due to incorrect addresses or the person's deceased. How can this be corrected to not receive those names again?
So we're doing a much better job in, for trying to identify those folks. This kind of goes hand in hand with a question we often get about our membership roles. So a long time ago, DAV purged all of our systems of Social Security numbers. So we don't use those for anything. And of course, that's the greatest singular identifier of anybody, right? Is the Social Security number. But it was, there was too much of a security risk there. We didn't want our system to be compromised and thereby compromise our members. So we don't use Social Security numbers in anything. We don't collect that information. We don't have it here at headquarters. We completely purged it from our systems. What that means now, though, is that we can't do a Social Security death match anymore. And that was the most precise way of cleansing our rolls. So we have to rely on third-party vendors that use other information like obituaries and information like that, for the purging our rolls. And unfortunately, what that means is sometimes, we deceased somebody that's not deceased. Perhaps, Tim Jones lived in the same house as his father, Tim Jones, who's now deceased, and they were both members, that sort of thing. That scenario plays out more often than you think. And we received the report that Tim Jones passed. They unfortunately get deceased in our system. But we correct that when it's brought to our attention very easily and take steps to ensure it doesn't happen again. But the prospect files aren't immune from that, and we get those essentially once a year, 18 months. So by the time we're able to roll them out and process and do the things that we have to do, folks have moved, or unfortunately some people have passed, whatever it might be. But we also do have a couple of different resources that we get the hot list from, to include our disaster relief efforts. So there's any number of reasons why somebody may move and that sort of thing, and people, for whatever reason today, aren't as eager to fill out the forwarding address information at the post office and all that good stuff. So it takes a little bit longer for us to catch up when people make a move like that. There's still other resources that we're able to utilize, but it's not perfect, and sometimes it's not as timely as we would like. So if you're out there and you get information back that somebody's deceased or moved, certainly let us know. We'll get that updated in our system right away.
Great, thank you. Another question, does the membership department have a sample script for approaching potential members, whether at a VA location or in the public sector?
Yeah, so we're finishing up right now. The interim membership committee this last session did a great job of putting together what we're calling an elevator pitch. So hopefully you'll see that in the not too distant future.
Awesome. All right, another question, will DAV National help in the printing of postcards, flyers, trifolds, etc.?
No, we don't have a mass resource for that here. So typically, chapters hopefully have a little bit of a recruiting budget, that sort of thing, that they can dip into. But again, some of this stuff, there are free resources online, white pages, that sort of thing, where you can look folks up and try to get their phone numbers, even sometimes their mobile devices, that sort of thing, to reach out to. So it doesn't necessarily have to always be have a burden of cost to the effort, but I get, sometimes it's a lot easier to do things in mass. So it just depends on what your approach is, but we don't have a resource available for that sort of thing.
Someone else asked, when will it be available to check the recruitment statistics?
So at mydav.org, in the reports repository, both the recruitment reports and the population summary are available in there. So if you're a chapter or department officer, you have access to that information. You have to be a chapter department officer to have access to the reports repository. We're looking at some other things. Right now we're trying to roll out the absolute necessities to mydav.org. The system's always going to be improved. So, just look out for continuing enhancements. But right now, that stuff is in the reports repository. Certainly shoot me an email if I'm not understanding the question, or you want to give me a little more detail there. We can definitely talk about it.
Okay. Another member asked, is there a simple way to get a list of zip codes?
To get a list of zip codes.
Yeah, you might need
so go ahead, Elizabeth.
If we need clarification on that.
So you can, the zip codes in your jurisdiction, so let me back up here for a second. So the way we create the hot list is every year, we'll probably be shooting it out here very quickly to the departments. I send them what I call a zip code spreadsheet, and the department leadership actually assign the zip codes, all the zip codes in the state's jurisdiction to a particular chapter. So as I mentioned, a zip code can belong to more than one chapter, but every zip code in the department's jurisdiction has to be assigned to a chapter. I understand that that's not always geographically convenient, that sometimes a zip code may be, greater than a stone's throw away from a chapter home, but all all of the zip codes need to be assigned to a chapter to make the algorithm work. So we plug that in to the hot list, and that kind of spits out the number of prospects that are in that chapter's jurisdiction. So the departments really determine what zip codes belong to each individual chapter. So if that's the question, if you're wondering what zip codes are in your chapter, you're welcome to reach out to your department headquarters, and they should be able to tell you that lickety split.
Great, thank you. All right, I think that's it. Give folks maybe a minute here if there are any other last minute questions. Doug, if you could kind of just recap, why all of this is important, why it's important to recruit and to grow DAV's membership ranks.
Right. Yeah. So, we're above 1 million members, and that number is profound. It has gravitas, and it gives the organization gravitas when we're talking to our elected officials, not just at the national level, but also at the state and the local level as well. Right. So our elected leaders pay attention to us because we are stronger together. The greater number of members we have, the more weight DAV's message has as the official voice of disabled veterans and their families. So we can't allow our membership ranks to dwindle. Across the board, veteran service organizations are taking great hits on their not only their membership numbers, raw membership numbers, but also on their participation levels. We're doing better, on a percentage basis, but certainly, we've got to replenish our ranks, and bring in these Persian Gulf War guys that are empty nesters now, like myself, ready to be more involved and have a little more time on their hands. And then, of course, focusing on the younger guys, getting ready to pass the baton, to them, because they're really going to be carrying the water in the future for all of these generations that, our nation has generations of disabled veterans that 2 decades of war have produced and that have sacrificed so much for our nation. So, our OEF guys, we really need to embrace them and make them understand why it's important to be members of the organization for all of the reasons I outlined just before. So, the recruiting is the way to get it done. And even if somebody doesn't have that time to be a volunteer driver or a VAVS type, all that stuff is important. But just explaining to them that, there's a bit of self-interest here, right? Making sure that not only are the benefits that they have are protected, but also acquiring benefits that they might need in the future. And the greatest example of that is the PACT Act that DAV carried the guide on towards getting passed here very recently, right? Burn pit exposure. How long did we have to fight that battle? And it finally got done this year. So that was due in very large part to our members sharing that message across the country. So that's why it's important for us to do our very best and have the tools at our fingertips that are necessary to be successful recruiters.
You just touched on this, but I want to ask, and we'll end on this question. Someone just asked if you had any suggestions for reaching that younger generation of veterans. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah. So again, just to reiterate, to make them understand that while they, may not have the time to participate on a monthly, weekly, or even daily basis in the organization right now, as they're, they've got young families or in the beginnings of their careers, that sort of thing. They can rest assured as, they strengthen the membership ranks of DAV, that when our team goes on Capitol Hill to preserve and acquire the benefits that they need, they're contributing to that effort. We're stronger together. I've said it multiple times today, but it's as true now as when I first uttered it. That strength in numbers, it's impactful. And when we can point to 1 million plus members of the organization and tell our elected officials, this is what 1 million plus of your constituents want, there's a lot of weight behind that, and they understand that.
Doug, thank you so much for another wonderful presentation, and thank you to everyone who attended tonight and asked thoughtful questions. Your interest and commitment help DAV continue to grow and be the resounding voice for America's disabled veterans. Again, you'll be able to find a recording of this and past webinars at dav.org under member resources and on DAV's YouTube page. If you have any follow-up questions, you can reach Doug via email at dwells@dav.org. Thank you all and enjoy the rest of your day.